There she is, the city beautiful, Chicago, Illinois, where this afternoon, WGN Sports presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Avi Garcia, Melky Cabrera and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Joe Girardi's first place, New York Yankees. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the finale of this three-game set, and it will be the rubber match. They took the opener, and then last night, Johnny Danks was just outstanding. He went out there pitching his heart out. We won that ball game 8-2. But, you know, looking at both these ball clubs, they have a lot of similarities.
You really wouldn't think so because the Yankees are in first place, the Sox are in third place. But since the All-Star break, you would be amazed how close these guys are together. In runs, since the All-Star break, Yankees are first, Sox are second. In hits, the Sox are first, Yankees are third. In home runs, Yankees, very powerful team, tied for first, Sox tied for fifth. Batting average, the Sox are first, the Yankees are second. And on base percentage, the Yankees are first, and surprisingly, the Sox are second because in this series, the Sox are swinging the bat. They did it on the road trip, and now they're doing it at home. The Yankees always swing the bat. Teixeira and A-Rod lead the Yankees, and for the Sox, Jose Abreu is hitting the ball out of the ballpark. Alexi Ramirez is coming alive and also hitting some home runs. And Melky Cabrera keeps up his torrid pace as he hits one out of the ballpark. So both of these teams have postseason aspirations. The Yankees doing very well. The Sox believe they can get there, and let's hope that's true.
Well, obviously, Jeff Samardzija's still here, and obviously we're very happy he is.
We're ecstatic because 10 games in a row, he's gone 7 innings or more. And the big man last time against Boston was pretty good. A couple of runs were scored against him when he left. But outside of that, he dominated the Red Sox. Jeff Samardzija is getting everything over the plate. He usually throws a whole lot of strikes. That splitter's been working well. His slider has been unbelievable, and he's been painting the corners with his fastball. So take a look at what he did last time. Went 8 innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs. They were earned with a walk and 3 strikeouts. But again, a few scored when he left. Samardzija's been awfully good, and today he faces Ivan Nova. So hopefully the Sox will take the series. And we've got Tampa Bay coming into town, but we can't look ahead. It's a daily game.
All right, rubber match, so sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Between the White Sox Before we get started this afternoon between the White Sox and the Yankees, we thought we would talk for a moment about this white-hot stretch that Melky Cabrera finds himself in. All of the Sox hitters are going well right now. There's no question about that. But Cabrera is the hottest of the hot and maybe the hottest guy in all of baseball, batting .500 over his last 10 games and .380 over his last 35. He's come into his own over these last 6 weeks or so. And Robin Ventura talked about his contributions to this Sox comeback earlier this morning.
He does a great job with that. I think, you know, at first it's tough to be that when you feel like you're not pulling your weight at times. And right now, and he was good with it either way. I mean, he's been a great teammate all year, and you know, has brought that. I think now it's just easier for guys to let it go and get the same feeling from him when he's doing well, and you know, they react to him the same way. So it's been a nice little run here for him, not only on the field and hitting, but you know what he does inside the clubhouse as well.
A home run for Cabrera last night. He's batting cleanup again this afternoon as the White Sox get set to take on the Yankees in the final game of this 3-game series. Baseball coming your way next. Hawk and Stoney waiting in the wings. White Sox and Yanks here on WGN.
Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. It's a beautiful day for baseball, very warm, very humid. And let's take a look at how Joe Girardi's going to line up his Yankees today. Jacoby Ellsbury leading it off with Brett Gardner in the 2 spot. Alex Rodriguez, the DH. Then it's the switch hitting Mark Teixeira at first base. Brian McCann, Carlos Beltran, Chase Headley, Didi Gregorius, and Stephen Drew rounded out. The defense, an out-and-out lineup behind Jeff Samardzija. Melky Cabrera, Adam Eaton, and Avisail Garcia in the outfield. Tyler Saladino, Alexi Ramirez, Carlos Sanchez, and Adam LaRoche in the infield. Gio Soto behind the plate, and Jeff Samardzija on the hill. He's 8-5, his ERA a touch below 4. This is his 22nd start. So they throw the ball around the infield. We're ready to play baseball after looking at the umpires, and it's time to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
Hi, Steve. Thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball over WGN. And here is the first pitch of the ball game, taken outside to Jacoby Ellsbury. Ellsbury comes in hitting at .283, 3 homers, 18 knocked in, and he is 1 for 8 in this series. The ball hit hard. Way back, and it is 1-0 Yankees. Just get it up in the air today, and you get a chance.
The wind is really howling out to left and left center field. Jacoby Ellsbury hits his 4th. He's driven in 19, and that was a line drive. And as you can see, it's a fastball. It was about thigh high, very hittable for a left-hander, and Ellsbury took it out.
So here's Gardner at 288, 11 homers, and 47 knocked in. Yankees come in hitting at 259 as a team with a 4.03 ERA. And that was the 141st home run hit by New York.
And Gardner looking out at Jeff Samardzija, I'm sure that what you really wanted to do in the first inning was hit a guy with good speed ahead of Rodriguez, Teixeira, and McCann. Gardner's got 15 stolen bases, been caught 3 times. And he certainly wouldn't be a guy you'd throw at in that situation.
So here is Alex at 280, 24 homers, 61 knocked in, 2 for 5 in the series. He's going to be wanting to run regardless of how much it hurts. If he gets a decent jump, anytime you get drilled, you want to steal a base if you got the speed.
And he does have that.
There's a strike. And here at the ballpark, 330 down the left field line, 335 down the right field line, 375 in the gaps, and 400 straightaway center.
Jeff Samardzija, in 10 straight games, has pitched 7 or more innings. That's the longest active streak in the majors.
2-1.
That's going to be put to the test today because the Yankees are 4th in the American League in hitting, and plus they have a very powerful lineup. There's going to be 8 left-handed bats, including the switch hitters, in the lineup today. So Jeff has got to really zero in on that outside corner and keep it down as you look at Joe Girardi, 8th year as a skipper of the Yankees.
That pitch is foul back. So the count 2-2.
There you see what's happened in the last 8 starts. Jeff's been awfully good. 4-1, his ERA 2.66. And opponent's batting average is 2.19. But the Yankees are not your usual opponent for a right-hand pitcher.
And that's inside. So a full count.
Well, you got a chance here to strike him out and throw him out because you figured that Gardner will be going in an effort to stay out of the double play. A-Rod does not run real well. But what he's telling the people in New York is that he's running at 70%, not wanting to hurt his legs, knowing how important his bat is to the team. And he said, if it's a winning run, I can run a whole lot faster than I've been running.
Got a little bigger lead at first. There he goes. And that's hit hard but foul. At one time, Alex could run very well. That was a long time ago.
It was. That was 2 knee operations, 2 hip operations ago. And A-Rod's grounded into 9 double plays this year.
Here's where the second baseman and the shortstop want to get it to whoever in a hurry. There he goes. And that's fouled back. As quick as possible.
There you look at some huge numbers. 299 lifetime, 678 home runs, over 2,000 runs batted in, knocking at the door at 2,000 runs scored. And he swiped over 300 bases, so he had excellent speed.
Well, he swiped 46 and hit 42 home runs back in 1998.
That's a good year. A-Rod has already gotten the signs from Joe Espada, the third base coach.
Not too many members of that 40-40 club. There he goes. And that's, can he get him? Yes. Beautiful play by Saladino.
A-Rod is probably the only guy wearing a Yankee uniform that would have gotten thrown out on that particular play, because he hit it to the vacated shortstop area, and Tyler went over and made the play. Alexi covering, leaving the shortstop vacated, but Tyler quickly gets there. Alexi, and a heads-up play, sprinted to third because third base was uncovered.
Teixeira pops it up. Javi. And Gardner just faking as Samardzija goes over, backs up. And that's 2 down. So here comes another dangerous hitter, Brian McCann. At 253, 17 homers, 61 driven in.
Last year was a disappointing year for McCann. He came over, it was his first year with the Yankees. He hit in the low 230s. Only had a 286 on base percentage. That was the third lowest among all American League qualifying hitters. So first year playing for the Yankees didn't work out as he thought. This year he's doing a whole lot better.
Well, if there's one team that will certainly take some adjusting to when you get traded there, it's New York.
Especially coming out of Atlanta.
I don't care where you're coming out of. Going to New York is an adjustment. Sometimes they can't be made by certain players.
No, historically, there have been a lot of guys that absolutely couldn't play there. There's been some pitchers who couldn't pitch there, but the Yankees could pitch them on the road.
Kenny Rogers was a good pitcher. Ed Whitson was a good pitcher. They just couldn't pitch there. Outfield, straight up, spread out. McCann with a homer. That coming last night in the 9th inning.
.98 degrees.
Has popped up. Tyler giving chase, but that's out of play.
That same wind that took that ball out is going to keep anything fouled to the right side in. Tyler thought he had a chance. The ball keeps drifting. But a fan, as is his right, grabs it. And there you look at the wind today, and it is howling.
Gio and Jeff.
The two skippers have their teams in different places. Joe's Yankees in first place. Robin Sox in third, trending up.
And that ball hit deep in the left field, but Melky, who's got the bead, got the ball, and it'll retire the side. But the leadoff homer by Jacoby Ellsbury is 1-0 Yankees.
Dino in the 2 spots, and it's Jose Abreu, who has a 12-game hitting streak. Melky Cabrera, Avisail Garcia, Adam LaRoche, Alexi Ramirez, Carlos Sanchez, and Gio Soto behind the plate hitting 9. The defense behind Ivan Nova. It's Gardner, Ellsbury, and Beltran in the outfield, with Chase Headley, D.D. Gregorius, Stephen Drew, and Mark Teixeira in the infield. Ryan McCann behind the plate, and Ivan Nova on the hill. Nova with a pretty good ERA of 3.38. This is just his 7th start. He had an absolutely great year for the Yankees back in 2011. 16-4 with an ERA of 3.70 and 27 starts. But then a parade of trips to the disabled list in 12, 13, and 2014 on the DL. And he had, since then, things aren't quite as good for him.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. As there's first pitch down to Adam Eaton. Adam at 283, 3 homers, 18 knocked in. Adam 4 for 8 in this series. Check that. His numbers are 268, 9 and 25. And the 1-1 pitch. Could not check it up. Sox come in hitting at 250 as a club with a 3.92 ERA. Sox 25 and 23 here at home. Yankees 28 and 28 on the road.
That last curveball from Nova was a very good one.
He's a big man, 6'4", 235. Outfield for the most part straight up. Adam has been doing his thing. He has scored 17 runs in the last 15 games. There's a chopper 2 hopper. So with 1 out, let's check out our picks to click. Jumanjo, our director of the crew. Well, that one was Alexi. Melky's going with Cabrera. I'm going to stay with the horse, one of my horses, David Novak, and all the good folks at Poogie Hyundai in Downers Grove. We're going to go with LaRoche, also J.J. Shearer and all the great folks at Ditka's. First pitch strike to Tyler, who's 2 for 10 in the series, but he has thrown some serious leather out there at third base.
Nova 2-1 career-wise against the Sox with 5 starts and a 2.73 ERA.
Watch out. Oh, 2 the count. Fortunately, everybody's okay.
Very fortunately, because that time wasn't the whole bat that went in the seats. Tyler left with just a handle. The top part of the bat pinwheels into the stands, and everybody appears to be unscathed.
To pitch. Well, what a difference in the maple and the ash. In years past, you might see 2 or 3 bats a year break and go into the stands. And today, you're liable to see that more than that in the game.
Especially the velocity you get after you break the bat. Sometimes it goes out of the infield, which is somewhat amazing considering you've cracked the bat in half.
There's a breaking ball, a good one, and 2 out.
When Nova's right, he's going to throw a lot of ground balls. And we've seen early in this one that he's got a pretty good curveball. It's there and then it's not. And when you're using that wipeout pitch, it's a perfect spot for it. So you're looking at a guy that had a partial tear of his right ulnar collateral ligament last year. So it's been a pretty tough go for Nova over the last 3 years.
So here's Abreu. Takes first pitch strike. That one at 94.
Vaughn was operated on by James Andrews. That was to repair that ulnar collateral ligament. He's just now making a comeback.
They should find a spot in Cooperstown for Dr. Andrews.
As many careers as he's saved, you would think so.
I mean, he has been very instrumental in Major League Baseball.
He has that. What I like about him now is he's talking about the youngsters and the fact that it's becoming an epidemic, that really young guys are coming to him, really young kids are coming to him to get Tommy John surgery. He's talking about over pitching all year round, a number of other things to try to prevent it, but that's been one of his crusades at this point, trying to alert coaches about that.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about
Yeah,
that. That is absolutely a sin, and guys who let their youngsters throw the breaking balls ought to be fired. It's unbelievable. They got an orthopedic surgeon in Houston. That's all he does all summer long from 9 to 15 is get Tommy John surgeries.
Yeah.
Kids 9 to 15 years old.
It's
a sin.
The troubling thing now, Hawk, is that you're seeing pitchers in the major leagues. Used to be you had one Tommy John surgery, you were good.
That ball hit hard, but he's playing deep, and he makes it's over his head. But Jose's only going to be able to hobble down to first base. So that extends his hitting streak to 13.
This ball is absolutely crushed. But as you can see, Ellsbury goes back. There's been a couple of times in this series, surprisingly, because Ellsbury's a pretty good outfielder, that the ball has hit off the end of the glove. This one he really had very little chance for as it accelerated, and Jose hit the daylights out of it.
So here's Cabrera, 3 for 6 in the series, hitting at 285, 7 homers, 52 driven in. You got youngsters in high school pitchers that are throwing more pitches per week than major league pitchers. That'll retire the side. Nothing across. It was a hit. There's one left. After one is 1-0 Yankees. Gregorius. First pitch strike.
You see this foul ball straight down off the leg, and you can see him wincing in pain. Then he hobbled to first base, and between innings, Hermie had a look at it in the dugout. Beltran, a better left-hand hitter than a right-hand hitter, hitting .269 as a lefty, .241 as a righty. 6 of his 8 home runs have come from the left side. Same thing is true for Teixeira and Headley.
You know, breaking balls for youngsters, if it was a necessity to have a curveball to pitch in the big leagues, that would be one thing, but it's not.
Nope.
High into center field.
It was pretty interesting. I had a conversation when Joe Madden was with Tampa Bay, and I asked him, how do you guys in the system develop so many good young pitchers? And he said, because the philosophy that I've always had and that we use here is I want them to use the well-located fastball first to both sides, 2 types of fastballs, but the second pitch is a changeup. Never a curveball, always a changeup. He hated the cutter because he thought the cutter diminished velocity, and he didn't particularly preach a slider. So with fastball, straight change, he had one other kind of breaking pitch, and you can make it here.
Softly hit by Headley. 2 down. Well, if you can well locate your fastball and you've got a good changeup, you can pitch in the big leagues. It's just that simple. And your good coaches, they will not let their youngsters throw curveballs. So here's Gregorius, good-looking young shortstop. He's hitting .257 with 5 homers and 30 knocked in.
Almost hit one out of the ballpark yesterday, but Avi made just a great catch to rob him of a 3-run homer. Originally with Cincinnati, and the Yankees got him from the Diamondbacks in a big 3-way trade.
Actually might be, he's all right. Might be hurting a little bit on that one in the shoulder. So the 2-out single. And that'll bring up Stephen Drew, second baseman, brother of J.D. out of Valdosta, Georgia.
You look at that batting average, not much to look at, but then you look at 13 home runs. That's been pretty good. Drew, formerly the first player picked in the country by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Mike Rizzo, who's now the general manager of the Washington Nationals, was a scouting director then, and they picked him number 1.
Adam will knock it down, pick it up, step on the bag, and that'll retire the side. A bullet off the bat of Drew. And it's still 1-0 New York.
Stats and information. The Sox Game Zone is powered by Robert Morris University, Illinois, offering over 55 athletic teams, more than any other university in the state. For more information on RMU, visit robertmorris.edu.
Leadoff home run by Jacoby Ellsbury, and it's 1-0 New York as we go into the bottom of the second inning. It'll be Garcia, LaRoche, and Ramirez. And there's the base hit on the breaking ball. Got it up a little bit. Didn't hit it hard, but placed it nicely.
You can see where it shows up. It's a hanging curve right over the middle of the plate. And Avi just stayed back on it and drove it through the right side.
So here's Adam, 4 for 8 in the series, hitting at .217, 9 homers and 36 driven in, and he just had a wicked shot off the bat of Stephen Drew that he knocked down and picked it up, tagged the bag.
And the way the shift is on, Gregorius is going to have to take the throw at second if they're thinking about a double play. Avi's got to get down there and try to get a piece of him on the pivot if there is a ground ball hit.
Got plenty of time.
Yeah, that time Avi had no chance on the ground ball. It's an easy 2 as Gregorius to his right made the play easily.
It's 99 degrees on our scoreboard out there.
The shift got him. Gregorius able to slide into the play and make the play easily.
Well, he looks like Beltre from underneath in Cano.
Very accurate and strong.
And strong. Yeah. Real strong.
By the way, just so you know, Edinson Volquez is at it again. First time up, Josh Donaldson. The ball was actually just a touch behind him and caught him in the back. He wasn't the happiest man in Toronto.
Well, Volquez is going to get his. Somewhere, somehow, he's going to get his.
He's been known to run the ball way inside on a whole lot of hitters. And so far,
and he's been known to take a lot of cheap shots, too.
I know he took a good swing at Jeff, fortunately missed. Toronto leading that game 2-0, bottom of the 5th in Toronto against Kansas City.
Maybe he's just too dumb, you know? Maybe he's just too dumb to realize he's going to get some of his players hurt as well.
Well, there have been some great managers who would tell you not to throw at people, especially on teams that were going to the playoffs or very close to getting there because they didn't want their stars getting hit and taken out of the lineup.
That ball is another roller, hit hard but foul.
I played for one of those guys, the Hall of Famer Earl Weaver at Baltimore. He used to tell us continually, I don't want to see any of you guys throwing at their hitters because I don't want Eddie Murray or Lee May getting hit in the elbow and then he's lost for 2 months and I got to go in my playoff drive without him.
Yeah, we got Tampa Bay coming in tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday, off day on Thursday. Then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're in Kansas City. We'll probably get forecasts.
I would think so. Pitching on Sunday. The next logical day is Friday.
And there's ball 4. – 100 degrees here at the ballpark. So here's Carlos Sanchez at 228, a couple of homers, 14 knocked in.
You don't mind running with Ramirez here because you'd rather lead off an inning with Sanchez as opposed to Soto if Alexi gets cut down. But McCann is not the greatest behind the plate at catching it and throwing it.
There you got a Lance Johnson jump, but
Lexi was running out of gas, and McCann puts a tag on.
All right, that'll retire the side. That's a caught stealing, and it's still 1-0 New York. Gardner and Rodriguez to face our Jeff Samardzija. First pitch strike.
Jeff gave up his 16th home run of the year to Ellsbury leading off, and when you're around the plate as much as he is, you're going to give up home runs. You just have to hope they're solo shots, and by and large against Jeff they have been. You got a fastball on the outside part of the plate, a line drive, lock it in the first row.
That changeup way high and wide. Out and around it.
You certainly need some of those out here this afternoon. It is up to 101 at the ballpark.
Close, didn't get it. And a full count. Pops him up. Lexi.
Cover all the bases for just $79 by purchasing an Abreu 4-pack, which includes 4 upper box game tickets, 4 hot dog value meals, and a parking pass. Abreu 4-packs are available now for all remaining Monday through Thursday games. Visit whitesox.com/Abreu to order yours today.
That's high and deep into right center field. Hobby. So Gardner is retired. 2 down.
When it gets up that high, with the wind blowing as it's blowing, it'll knock it down.
Alex. Saladino, who was playing over, had to take it in shortstop position. They had a little bit of a shift on for him. Threw him out as there's a strike, and the count evens at 1. Gave him a little bit of extra and then pulled the string on it. Extra motion, bigger turn.
So far, this whole at bat is spent throwing the ball away to Alex Rodriguez. Xfinity pitch tracks, you see only 1 in the zone, yet it's 2-2, but they've all been outside.
He gone. We'll go to the bottom of the 3rd, trailing 1-0.
Jeff Vukovich, your local Nationwide insurance agent serving the area for 37 years. To join the nation, visit jeffvuk.com because Nationwide is on your side.
1-0 bad guys. Here in the bottom of the third, it'll be Sanchez, Soto, then back to the top of the order with Adam Eaton. Von Noble out of San Cristobal in the Dominican. Count evens at 1. Another high breaking ball. Just got a piece of it.
That was a much better breaking ball. He tried to drop that one down and in. He got it there. Carlos was able to stay alive.
One out.
You know, last year the Yankees had a whole lot of injuries. They used 58 players in 2014. That was a club record. Talking with Joe Girardi this year, they've had a number of injuries, and he's had 13 players make their major league debut this season. So the injuries have just kept on coming, yet Joe has them in first place. A testament to the team, certainly, and to Girardi's managerial abilities.
Well, if you ask the top 100 players in baseball, what are the prerequisites for being a good manager? You'll probably get at least 95%. With the first word out of their mouth, it would be patience. And that's what Joe has shown with his ball club. But that stuff he's run out there for the last 2 or 3 years. Gets a nice little Cantini bounce. Soto was retired.
I would say patience and communication.
Well, that's in there too, but the first word would be patience.
Well,
and there would be other things. There would be communication with the players, communication with the front office.
I think these days you've got to explain more than ever before the role to the player. Used to be you just saw your name in the lineup, you played. If you didn't, you sat. That was about it.
It's almost impossible to be a good manager today without patience, because you're going to see some stuff as a former player in most cases that you've never seen before. And you're going to have to understand that these players sometimes don't know what they're doing wrong when they do something wrong. And you have to have patience in your explanation to them of why and what they're doing wrong. The in-your-face stuff, like when I played, managers were in your face when you made a mistake. That's weighed by the boards and has been for a long time. Three and one to count to Adam. Grounded out. to Drew at second base. Take him out of here, Adam. Back through the middle and into center field. So good speed aboard. And here's Saladino. Struck out on a good curveball from Ivan Nova.
Adams swiped bases much more frequently lately. He's got 9 of them, been thrown out 4 times.
Coming inside. Fastball. That one at 94. There he goes. Bad throw into center field, so he'll go on into third. Stolen base and an error.
We talked about it when Alexi got up. McCann doesn't throw particularly well, but unfortunately Alexi got too big a jump. And McCann now charged with his 6th error of the year. It is the Yankees' 69th. As the throw goes sailing on the first base side of second. No chance at all to throw him out.
Now, if you were writing a script right here and you wanted it pro White Sox, you'd say throw a curveball in the dirt back to the screen. That would really hurt.
That would be the first wild pitch of the year for Nova.
Oh, that's a tribute to catchers. You know with that curveball he's got. That's up and in. He's had a few in the dirt. Although today he's had more high ones than low ones. Brady on deck, so he's going to get a good pitch to hit here. Take him right back to the middle, Tyler.
That time he reached back, got a little something extra on that fastball, and he fouled it off. You figure he'd get something pretty good to hit because you don't want to get to Abreu, the best run producer on this team, and he's standing in the on-deck circle.
Another foul ball. That one's right there. That was wheelhouse. One, 2, and 1 for them. 0-3 and 0 for us. Here in the bottom of the third, if you're just joining us.
Good at bat. Pitch number 8 on the way as Nova keeps pumping strikes, and Tyler keeps on fouling him off.
Outfield slightly to the right. between Gardner and that left field line.
So he got nobody to blame but himself right there. He had some pitches to hit. He just couldn't do it.
Are invited to stay for a post-game fireworks show presented by Magellan Corporation. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
One nothing. Yankees. Teixeira, McCann, Beltran. High and wide. There's a strike, and that evens count at 1.
Last 13, he's been awfully good at .429 with 6 home runs. He had back-to-back games where he hit 2 home runs, the finale against Texas and the first game here before Johnny Danks cooled him off yesterday.
Johnny Danks was just awesome. Hit 93 more than once, more than twice last night. 5 2/3, 1 run, 8 strikeouts.
He had good late movement, threw a great cutter. And all in all, the stuff was as good as it's been in a long time, because this is a very powerful lineup, and to hold him down as he did into the 6th inning with just 1 run, that's getting it done.
Two balls, 2 strikes to the 35-year-old veteran. He gone.
Good placement for the fastball. You see where Gio wants it. It's a fastball up with that uppercut swing of a home run hitter. They can't catch up to it up there, and throws it right by him.
That'll bring up Brian McCann. He went out high and fairly deep to Melky in left field. Jammed him, ate him up. There's a Kansas City special for you right there.
Looked like because of the shift, nobody was able to get to it. You see how the shift usually is. I would say normally Alexi would make this play, but he was coming from the first base side of second. Tyler not used to ranging into left center field from his third base position, and that ball just drops with no outfielders having a chance.
So here's Beltran. He went out to Adam Eaton in center field. Takes it low and away, and we'll send a big White Sox hello. Miss you guys to Jules and Barbara Victor in Savannah, Georgia, watching in on the game. Alias Bubba. That's up high. 2-0. So 3-0 to count. Come back and get it. Beltran has faced Marja 15 times, has 5 hits, all of which stayed in the park. First walk issued by Jeff. And that'll bring up Headley, who grounded out to Sanchez.
Sends Gio to the mound. Could very well be that he wants to change his set of signs at this point because he got McCann, a catcher, out at second base, and he would certainly know just about any sequence he would use. And they undoubtedly have been using the same sequence since the start of the game.
And there's first pitch strike.
His 10-game hitting streak has yielded a .421 batting average. Runs batted in and runs equal 21. 11 and 10. That's very good.
And the count 0-2.
The way I usually measure contributions to the ball club offensively is add up the runs scored and the runs driven in. Closer to 200, the better the guy is. Very few guys these days get to 200, but if you get there or exceed it, you've really helped the ball club.
Change up, high and wide. In 2012, Headley led the National League in RBIs with 115. That figures. Bloop. Now they're going to have to hold McCann as Ivy will get it back in. The walk. Now they got the bases loaded with 1 out.
Fortunately, this one isn't hit into the gap. So Jeff gets away with a pitch up in the zone, an off-speed pitch, either a straight change or a splitter. But it loads him up with only 1 out.
Here's Gregorius. Had an infield. Not an infield. Hit a hard shot through the infield for a single. Back in the second inning.
He's only grounded into 3 double plays this year and 324 at bats. So not a whole lot of speed on the base paths. With the outfield playing straight away, and the infield, well, you would call it double play depth, about halfway in the infield.
Well, we left Boston in that 4-game series where we won 3 out of 4. They had a really good looking young shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. Prior to that, we were in Cleveland for 4 days. They had a really good looking young shortstop, Francisco Lindor.
I would say that particular phrase holds true with a whole lot of teams.
I'm telling you, you could go on and on and on. Houston,
Well, Houston, that guy's ridiculous. Carlos Correa has 12 home runs. 12 home runs. He hasn't been up all that long. And he's 20 years old. What a player.
Detroit, Iglesias. That figures. Missed him. Missed him. Good throw by Melky. Just a little bit off. And all of a sudden it's 3-0. Started off with that bloop into short left field. Man.
Happy has 31 and 32, and Melky's got a good shot at him. He gets the ball in pretty quickly. It's just off the mark, however. And Gio, coming toward the dugout, tries to put the tag on, and I mean, he just misses him. So Adam Hamari in a perfect spot to take a look at this tag. Didn't miss by much, but he did miss.
That's what happens when you make contact. You got a chance on that bloop by McCann. So here's Stephen Drew. He hit a bullet. Down 2. Adam Roche at first base. That on the other side of the page. We got to score some runs anyway. They're going to hold them. We might have the best throwing outfield in the American League as far as arm strength and accuracy.
The outfield's been pretty good this year. And with Jeff Samardzija having to face 8 left-hand hitters, it gets awfully tough as you move through. This was the second time through the order. They're getting some good swings at him. And now Ellsbury will hit for the 3rd time. For a right-hander, this is a very, very tough lineup.
Ellsbury homered to left center field, leading off the ball game as he takes low ball 1. Yeah, a lineup like this against a right-handed pitcher can give you a little chaos, mental chaos.
Well, especially because all of their switch hitters are better left-handed than they are right-handed.
Can give you a little confusion out there.
Also, a couple of other factors. Drew has power, and he'll play where it's usually Ryan against the left-handers. McCann will play. Gives you much more power. As good a catcher as Murphy is, much more power than Murphy, who's a good catcher, but doesn't have the run production ability of Brian McCann.
Two and 1 to count.
With the bases loaded, Kobe Ellsbury has been awfully good.
That change up or splitter hit deep into center field. And it's going to be a 4-0 Yankee lead. 3 here in the top of the 4th.
Second RBI of the day, 20th of the year for Ellsbury, who got it up in the wind and just missed his first grand slam. He took it way back. Adam was back on the track to make the catch, and everybody moved up 90 feet.
Here's Gardner. He was hit by a pitch, first at bat. Then in the third inning, went out to Avi in right field.
Scott Carroll called up from the minor leagues when J.B. Shuck went on the disabled list with a hamstring problem, and he's loosening in the pen. Very big at bat here because a huge difference between the 4 already scored and if the Yankees get to 6, because they got a lot of add-on power, and 6 to come back from is a huge number.
One and two.
For second and third and 2 outs. Yankees have driven in runs 29% of the time. And both teams right around league average.
Flips that one foul into the seats for a souvenir. If you're just joining us, this inning started off with a Kansas City special, a high pop-up that nobody could get to in short left field. That was with 1 out. Then a walk, a hit, a hit, a hit, sacrifice fly. And here he comes. Nope. 6-0. That's why you got to catch the baseball.
So Gardner, who got hit in the first inning, gets a measure of payback with runs number 48 and 49 driven in, and that does indeed make it a 6-0 game. As he reaches out, takes a pretty good splitter. This one low and away, just makes contact and takes it right back up the middle.
Went to the count. Gardner 15 for 18 and stolen bases. There he goes. And he gone. But a big crooked number goes up there on a play that couldn't be made. And they lead it 6-0.
And you might be today's White Sox fan of the game. White Sox fan photo of the game is brought to you by Beggar's Pizza, now with 22 locations. Visit beggarspizza.com. Beggar's Pizza, they lay it on thick. Time to come back at Ivan Nova. Not a whole lot of our guys have seen much of Nova, but now the second time through the order, maybe a better look at him. The first time through yielded just 2 hits before Eaton had a base hit in his second look at it.
One and one to count. That single by Abreu, a bullet over the head of Ellsbury in center field. Now 13-game hitting streak. Chopper 2, Hopper. 1 down.
Gregorius gave a little ground. He's an exceptional glove man. The question, after talking with Joe Girardi about his young shortstop, was could he hit? We're seeing in this series that he'll put the bat on the ball, that he has some surprising power, and that eventually he will hit. One of the reasons why the Yankees didn't go out and get a top-of-the-line pitcher was they've got a very young shortstop well down in the minor leagues that they refuse to get rid of. But they look like they're in pretty good hands with Gregorius at short for the moment.
First pitch strike. Melky hit into a 6-4 fielder's choice. Going to the count. Way outside.
Melky has been heating it up for about 5 weeks. 380 with 6 home runs and 29 driven in. 6 of his 7 home runs in the last 35 games.
Two pitch. That's in left field. That's a can of corn for Gardner. 2 down.
Avi waited back nicely on a hanging breaking ball leading off the second inning. Unfortunately, didn't come to anything as Adam LaRoche grounded into a double play. But it was a good sign as he poked it through the right side.
Come on, Avi, let's get something started with 2 out right here.
That was a terrific sinker. Nova's got a good one. In fact, ground balls have yielded 6 outs, and he's not through the 4th inning. Watch how this one dives. Keeps it low and in. If you do hit that, you can hit the very top of the baseball, and you're going to beat it right into the dirt.
high and Souvenir right side. Two pitch, Dobby. Ball gets away, but they got plenty of time. So a quick 1-2-3 inning, and after 4, it's 6-0.
At your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/White Sox to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC.
So here's Teixeira. He's 0 for 2, pop up to right, and a strikeout. Pretty close pitch, didn't get it. They got the shift on. Carlos way out there in short right field. And the count 2-0.
What we haven't seen yet in this series is either Andrew Miller or Dellin Betances, and that's usually a good thing. Miller the left-hander, Betances the hard-throwing right-hander, and usually only see them when the Yankees are ahead, and they are very good out of that pen.
3-0 the count. There's one.
Over the years, Texas has brought some really good players to the major leagues, and Mark Teixeira, one of them. First pick in the draft, the 5th overall in 2001.
That's handy. And it's 7-0.
Showed you a graphic last time he was up and just how hot he's been. That's 29 and 74 on the power numbers. Here's our Mazda replay, and Teixeira, even against the wind, gets one way up and easily out.
First pitch strike to McCann. He started off that 5-run fourth with a high pop up and 1 out. High pop up in short left field, and nobody could get there. It's over into the Yankee dugout.
That one looked like it might have gotten a piece of Nova. Looks like it got him in the right hand.
Two-two pitch. Make your plans to be with us tomorrow night. First of 3 against Tampa Bay. In a 3-game series, they're going to run Carnes, Archer, and Erasmo Ramirez out there. We're going to run Quintana, Sale, and Rodon. Now, if you can't make it to the ballpark tomorrow, it'll be over WPWR My 50. Then Tuesday and Wednesday on Comcast Sportsnet. Seven, 8-1 for them. 0-3-0 for us here in the finale of this 3-game set, and it is the rubber match.
Tony Pena made a nice play. He's first base coach. He was a great catcher in his day and former major league manager.
One out.
If you have the same name as a White Sox player, come to the ballpark and support your distant relatives and White Sox family on August 11th for Orgullo Sox Night presented by Pepsi. All members of the Hispanic community, their families and friends can buy specially priced tickets at whitesox.com/Orgullo.
Well, the benches have cleared up in Toronto. They're out on the field. Volquez got his shortstop hit.
You'd have to figure it was coming when you throw at the Toronto Star.
Well, they threw it at him twice.
Yeah.
Beltran. Yeah, between Volquez and Ventura, they're going to get some people hurt. Trio. There's one. Tulowitzki got drilled in the elbow.
That won't make the boys real happy.
Well, what the funny thing about it was that Escobar's there's a line drive to Salvador. Didn't even get hit. It was just close. And Jim Wolf threw out the Toronto pitcher after they drilled a couple of. Where's that coming from? So Headley
gets hit.
Looked like he hit him with a changeup.
And here's Gregorius. He's 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs and a run scored. You just tuning in. Yankees 1 in the first, 5 in the fourth, 1 here in the fifth. To another count.
Jeff at 98 pitches, and he's not through the fifth yet.
Well, if that old high pop-up was caught, well, it should have been caught. It was caught. He wasn't anywhere near that. He's a lot of pitches after that.
And the Sox bullpen up and going once again. And here comes Robin. So the streak of 10 straight games, the 7+ innings, is going to go by the boards, as Robin has already pointed at Scott Carroll. So the streak ended here at U.S. Cellular Field. Jeff will exit. Carroll will come in, and we'll step out and be back after these messages. Time he's really excelled in situations like this. Sox down 7-0. Runners at first and second. 2 outs. Jeff Samardzija went 4 2/3 today. Gave up the 8 hits. Charged with 7 so far, and the responsibility of the 2 left on. He walked 2, hit 2, fanned 3. Just wasn't Jeff's day.
Strike. Drew 1 for 2. And a run scored.
Outfield for the most part straight up. Bit of a gap out there in left center. 2 out, 2 on. And that ball hit into the gap. 2 more are going to score. And it's 9-0.
Drew has now driven in 30 runs. And those 9 charts at Jeff Samardzija. So this sinker away, Drew goes right with it. And despite the batting average under 200, he's got 13 and 30 on the power numbers.
So here's Ellsbury. That's Gio keeping the ball in front of him. And we've got a big front coming in. That's low.
Rain's supposed to be coming about 25 minutes. It doesn't appear like it'll be coming soon enough, however.
Nope. Three and one. Kansas City is tied up Toronto with 2. A 2-run homer by Zobrist. There's ball 4. Now 2 out, 2 on, 3 in. And here's Gardner. He's 1 for 2 with 2 RBIs. Good block by Gio. Donald leading Kansas City now 3-2. As steps on the bag, they'll retire the side, but some more damage goes up. Another crooked number, and they lead it 9-0.
Chris Young is in.
LaRoche, Ramirez, Sanchez. Yeah, boy. Been there a long time. So the leadoff single.
Good innings. Roger Foster came out to have a talk with the umpires about the ensuing rain, and Adam LaRoche, with a vacated left side, just takes it that way, and there's nobody home, so he gets a base hit.
Alexei walked. Takes a strike, and that evens the count at 1. 9-9-1 for them, 0-4-0 for us. In the rubber match of this 3-game set, they won the opener 13-6. We won last night 8-2. And they scored 1 in the first, 5 in the fourth, and 3 in the fifth here.
That fastball, inner portion and sinking, and Alexei just able to follow it off to the right. Nova, who had elbow surgery last year, looking pretty good here in this one.
That wind swirling around home plate area. One down.
Pretty good curveball, which Nova's had all day long, and that one was in the zone. Alexei undoubtedly swung at it anyway.
5 strikeouts now for the big right-hander. And here's Carlos. Carlos struck out his first trip on a fastball. Way out in front.
When your changeup is at 88, you know you've got a pretty good fastball. And although Nova is not overwhelming with his fastball, it's a very lively 94 with a 92-mile-an-hour sinker.
Two down.
Sox fans, on Friday, August 14th at 3:10, your Chicago White Sox take on the Chicago Cubs. The first 10,000 fans will receive a White Sox rally towel presented by United Airlines. United, proud to fly the Chicago White Sox. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Mark Saipo, Joe Bonilla, Jackie Cruz, Tanya Capra and the crew. Also Bernard Young and all the good folks at Atlantic Aviation do such a great job in handling our travel arrangements for us. Gio's 0 for 1. He grounded out to second base. Of course, today we have done a pretty good job at helping Nova out.
Swinging a lot of bad breaking balls. But he's also gotten A lot of sinkers and fastball in the zone. He's only walked one. That was Alexi back in the second inning, and he promptly picked him off.
Well, another way we've helped him out too. He's hung a few curveballs and gotten away with them. Right at the bottom of the zone. Says Adam Hamari. That one just misses. So 2-2 the count. It's full. Wow. That's unique. Got him 6 strikeouts now. And this game is official. Aaron McCann. Alex, 0 for 3 today. Now 2 for 8 in the series. In fact, he had the 2 hits in his first 2 at bats in the series. He takes it low and away. Count evens at 1 for the 40-year-old veteran. One of only 4 players to ever hit a home run in his teens and hit one after his 40th birthday.
Jeff Samardzija was able to keep the ball consistently away from A-Rod and throw it by him.
Toronto has just added another run. They lead Kansas City 4-2. Still hitting in the bottom of the 8th inning.
I'm going to predict they go up 5-2.
Just because your iPad is faster than mine. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Well, yours is on Granger time.
Yeah, I'm an hour behind time. An hour ahead. It should have been over as far as my iPad was concerned. I'll turn out. This is an AirPad too. It's a new one. We'll get back and get my old one. There's a little lateness in mine. As there's ball 4. So the leadoff walk.
Hey, Sox fans, all season long, you can score with Papa John's Pizza. The day after the Sox score 5 or more runs, that would have been the first 2 games of the series, by the way, you have 50% off your entire online order at papajohns.com using the promo code SOX5. It's at participating Papa John's locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's.
There's the strike. Teixeira has popped to right, struck out, and hit a high, towering home run. That was his 29th. Now has 74 knocked in.
He got most of this one with the wind blowing toward left and left center. He took this way out in right field. Last year he hit 22 all season long. He hit in the 2 teams. This year he's got 29 and 74. He's really bounced back.
That's foul back.
Mark Teixeira was traded to the Atlanta Braves from the Texas Rangers, one of the few times where the Braves gave up a whole lot of talent to get a guy they controlled for a year and a half.
Let's face it, Texas has brought up a lot of good young talent that's playing for other teams.
A lot of terrific power hitting first basemen throughout the years. And you're right, their scouts have to be pretty good because they've drafted and developed a whole lot of thunder.
Arizona the same way. They brought up a lot of, signed a lot of good young players as he gone. Get her playing for other teams. So 1 out. Here's McCann.
Arizona kept one who was pretty good and is having a miraculous year. Leading the league in hitting, it's Paul Goldschmidt, their first baseman. One of the best players around, and yet doesn't get probably near the pub he should get because he's playing in Arizona.
Now, talking to one of the best scouts in baseball about all these good young shortstops around. He's seen them all, and he said the kid in Arizona, Ahmed, makes everybody else look like they're backing up defensively.
Well, we saw him in spring training, and there didn't appear to be anything he couldn't do defensively. And in spring training, at least, where a lot of people hit, he was hitting. That's really the only question mark around Nick Ahmed.
There's the strike.
Leading edge of that rain has started to fall. Looked like a fairly thick band.
My radar, it's not as big as it was on Bob Albrecht's radar. So it shouldn't be too long, according to mine. According to his, it might be. Two.
McCann's up. As much as a pull hitter that he is, you've got to be heads up in the Yankee dugout, which is on the first base side, as rain start to fall. Cooling off a whole lot of folks on a very warm and humid day.
Well, the highest that I saw it was 101.
That's the highest it's been at the ballpark this year.
Three and two the count, one out, one on. And that is foul. Hit hard. Another one.
It's going to be a 10-pitch at bat as McCann keeps pulling everything foul up the right side, and Scott Carroll keeps throwing everything away from him.
This is Mickey Tettleton, former Tiger catcher. At bat. He gone. Inside corner, had to play. Two down.
He goes in. McCann gives up on it. It drifts back and has the whole plate. And 2 strikeouts in a row.
That'll bring up Chris Young making his first plate appearance. Beltran was 0 for 2. With a walk and a run scored. Takes ball 1.
Young played the first 2 games in the series. Had a couple of hits in the first game, a double and a run scored, a single, and held hitless yesterday.
Okay.
He made the
makes
catch.
it. He makes it. He makes it. He's hopefully he's okay. Beautiful catch by Cabrera. That'll retire the side, and let's take another look at it as we go out.
I think he might have knocked the wind out of himself as this ball stayed up long enough. Melky came across and made the catch. on Melky Cabrera as he comes across, makes a great catch, ending the inning and staying down for a bit after that awkward landing, but he gets up and makes the play. The Speed Replay is brought to you by Xfinity, your home for the most live sports.
So here's Adam, top of the order. Here in the bottom of the sixth. Adam 1 for 2 with a stolen base. Two-one pitch. And there is a good start to the inning.
Hey, Chicagoland viewers, it's time for the Subway sixth inning. Text Subway to 97999 right now for your chance to win 6 meals from the Simple 6 menu from Subway. Message and data rates may apply. Subway, eat fresh.
Here's Saladino. He's 0 for 2, a couple of strikeouts. Tyler. That last at bat had a couple of good pitches to hit, just fouled him away. Got a hanger right there and jammed himself. 1 out.
Earlier in the game, Jose fouled one off his foot. And still feeling the effects of it, he lined one over Ellsbury's head and only was able to get to first base. Fortunately, it looks like he's walking well. Because without this big man in the middle of his lineup, he wouldn't be near what it's been in this latest stretch.
He's 1 for 2. Solid single over the head of Ellsbury in center field. And he just had to hobble his way down to first base. Gap out there in left center. There's that hook.
Well, for the most part, it's been a terrific pitch for Nova today.
The ones he missed were up and rolling, and he got away with them.
He's only making his 7th start of the year. He's not going to have near as much arm strength as he will have if he continues in the rotation.
A slow bouncer. Got plenty of time. So 2 out. And that'll bring up Melky, who was 0 for 2. He's hit into a 6-4 fielder's choice, and he's gone out to left field.
Looks like things starting to look pretty good, as whatever was aiming at the ballpark seems to have skirted it.
That's the reason that we get this hard. It's very hard to predict anything around here because they get what they call the split. Ballpark split.
Mention that to Uncle Bob Albrecht because he had the animals pairing up and the ark ready to go.
He's getting old. He's getting senile. No, on my drive in last month, I was driving in, and I mean from Valparaiso to after I got through the toll at the Skyway and got here to the Dan Ryan, it was absolutely, I mean, a monsoon. As soon as I got on Dan Ryan, poof,
that's
disappeared.
It refused to pay the toll,
yeah,
and they wouldn't allow it on the Dan Ryan.
I'm telling you, it was amazing, and that's not the first time this happened. They call it the lake effect wins. As there's a base hit by Melky. Adams going to score, and we get on the board. It's always nice to keep from getting shut out. And it's a 9-1 ball game. So the walk comes around.
Melky driving in run number 53. As he gets a fastball right down the middle and takes it through the right side. So the leadoff walk, which usually hurts a pitcher, comes back to bite Nova.
Ivy is 1 for 2. Goes through that one at 93. If you missed that game last night, as we mentioned earlier, Johnny Danks was hitting 93 more than once.
He's going to have to lay off that pitch inside off the plate because he's not able to get to it, and it's not a strike.
Curveball, and that'll do it. We did score a run, and we'll go to the 7th, trailing 9-1.
game card, good for 75 cents off their next Merck's purchase at participating grocery stores. Like your bases and your burgers loaded, you're a Merck's man. Purchase tickets today by visiting WhiteSox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
I am definitely a Merck's man. I love Merck's. Man. So here we go. Chase Headley, top of the 7th, can't get it. Headley is 1 for 2. Single and a run scored. That ball hit deep into right center field. Nobody's going to get that one. One hop against the fence. That's his 17th double.
Second hit of the day as Headley, from his strong side, the left side, drives this ball and hits it by Adam Eaton. Minnesota was losing 1-0 with one out in the bottom of the 9th inning to Seattle. They have come back to tie the game at 1-1.
Here's Gregorius, a single in the 2nd, a single in the 4th. That was a 2-run single. He also scored, and he walked in the 5th. Takes first pitch strike. Count evens at 1. Three and one. Come on, Scott. We don't need any walks.
Jason Shreve loosening in the pen.
Line shot caught. Now dropped. So that'll be an error.
Goes E4, and that's just the 3rd error of the year.
That's amazing. With all the range he's had and all the tough plays he's made. Only the 3rd error, and it came on one of the really easier plays he's had.
Yeah, but stays on the ground. He catches just about everything. That ball maybe knuckled out to him, but whatever it was, he just missed it. And with nobody out, it's runners at the corners as the Yankees look like they're heading for more.
They have 9 runs and only 10 hits. 1 error. We have 1 run, 5 hits, and 1 error. He's just joining his first hitter of the game. Jacoby Ellsbury hit a home run, a line shot into left center field. And that's trouble. That's going to score a pair on the triple. Stephen Drew, he now is a single, 2-run double, and a 2-run triple.
Our fourth drive of the game. The third and fourth run driven in of the day by Drew, who's got 32, and he left a homer shy of the cycle. So he drills this one down the line, and then the ball doesn't come out. It stays very close to the wall. Avi has to go get it and can't get it in before Drew winds up at third.
Still nobody out, and here is Ellsbury. 1 for 2 with that homer, sacrifice fly, and a walk. Time is called. One pitch. All kinds of tensions running high today in Major League Baseball. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Or Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Doesn't make you never let drilling guys one right after the other.
Pittsburgh wound up winning that game 3-0. And the fact that they might have lost A.J. Burnett for the year really hurting the Pirates in their cause to try to run down St. Louis.
Well, McCutchen got drilled. Bird got drilled. Phillips got drilled. That's right, 2. I see. So the run will score, and it's 12-1.
Third run batted in for Ellsbury. 21st of the year.
Here's Gardner. 2-run single in the fourth. He's 1 for 3. That's lowered away, 2-1. Yeah, Joe West had his hands full today in Cincinnati. Adam will take it, suck it up, step on the bag. 2 down. And that'll bring up hitting for Alex
Dustin Ackley. Acquired from Seattle and probably given a fresh start to try to see if he can fulfill all that potential he had when he came out of North Carolina.
There is a situation that's becoming more and more prevalent in baseball, and that is the change of uniform, change of venue.
Sometimes the best thing that can happen.
More and more guys are doing it. Actually started back in the early to mid 80s. Guys started moving around because, and you would have general managers who would call another general manager and say, hey, look, I got a guy here that's not doing anything. Because that's popped up. Tell me some of your guys are not doing anything. Maybe we can just change them uniforms and see what will happen. But meanwhile, they score 3. 7th inning stretch is 12-1 Yankees.
There you can see it. It's a 12-1 game. The Yankees have out-hit the Sox 11-5. Both teams have committed one error. A packed ballpark today. A lot of youngsters at the park. Those who won't remember it. And the temperatures today soared to 101, and the Yankee bats were equally as hot. Unfortunately, our Sox, with just one run on 5 hits against Ivan Nova, who went 6 innings, and he'll depart this one. Jason Shreve, who's been in the right place at the right time. He's 6-1, his ERA 1.77, on for the 37th time. Opponent's hitting a paltry 159. When you give up 22 hits in 40 2/3 innings, you are getting it done. A whip of .91. So he'll come on with a big lead, trying to preserve win number 4 for Ivan Nova. And you'd have to figure with the strength of the Yankee bullpen, especially at the back end. They're in pretty good shape, not only today, but pretty good shape the rest of the year if they can straighten out their starting rotation. The Yankees came in leading Baltimore by 5 games. And the Orioles lost to the Tigers 6-1, so that'll move to 6. Toronto, who won today, will be tied with Baltimore. But they've lost 2 more games, 1 more game rather, than the Orioles.
So here's Adam. Shreve, 6'3", 185 pounds, out of Las Vegas. Roche, 1 for 2 today. 12-1 bad guys here in the bottom of the 7th. To the count. Those, we got no chance. Outfield for the most part straight up. Bit of a gap out there in left center. And Drew way back out there in short right field with the shift. As the count moves to 2-2. Once again, a reminder, make your plans to be with us tomorrow night, first of 3 against the Tampa Bay Rays. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, off day on Thursday. Then we go to Kansas City for 3. That should be interesting. Not a good pitch, not even close, and he rings him up.
This one down and away off the plate.
That's hard to miss a pitch like that, but he missed it. Adam Hamari. Well, Adam just wants to get this thing over. That's a lot better than when he called Adam on. 2-0 the count. That's going foul and not going to be playable. First ball, in and out. Two and two. Just joining us, they scored 1 in the first, 5 in the fourth, 3 in the fifth. And that ball hit deep. He looks up, and you can put it on the board. Yes. Number 7 for Alexei. And we get another one.
7-38 on the power numbers. And Alexi takes it way back. Shreve giving up his 4th home run of the year in 41 innings. This time it was low, inside. Just had a piece of the plate and gone.
In that Tampa Bay series, we're going to run tomorrow Quintana, Tuesday Chris Sale, Wednesday Carlos Rodon. They're going to run Nathan Carnes, big right hander, on Monday. Chris Archer, good pitcher, on Tuesday. And Erasmo Ramirez on Wednesday. Tomorrow the game will be over WPWR My 50. Tuesday and Wednesday on Comcast Sports.
The Tuesday game, a great matchup. Our best against their best. Chris Sale against Chris Archer.
Softly hit. 2 down.
Ever dream of being a major league player? This is your chance. The Los Angeles Dodgers and Chicago White Sox Fantasy Baseball Camp takes place January 18th through the 24th, 2016 at Camelback Ranch, Glendale, Arizona. To reserve your roster spot, email fantasycamp@camelbackranchbaseball.com or call 623-302-5078.
So here's Gio. Gio 0 for 2. A lot of slinging action in Shreve's motion. That's high. Stretch. Get up in that wind. He's back. He's back. He looks up, and you can put it on the board. Yes. Number 8 for Gio.
8th home run, 19th driven in. And with that wind howling toward left and left center field, hit a high fly ball, and it will go out. The 100th career home run for Giovanni Soto. This is a fastball, and for the most part, it's right down the middle. And gone. Gio knew it was gone when he left the bat. Gardner didn't, but Gio did.
Adam extended his hitting streak to 11 with that 3rd inning single. He also has picked up a stolen base, walked, and scored a run. Minnesota hitting in the bottom of the 10th inning. Tied at 1 with Seattle. High. He's going to turn it on, and now he's going to go ahead and go into third. That'll be his 9th triple. He has 9 homers, 9 triples, and 16 doubles.
Well, he's right on the verge of doing something that not too many major leaguers are going to do this year, and that is double digits in home runs and triples. Takes this one right down the line, and it takes an awkward bounce off the sidewall. And Adam hustling into third base and makes it easily. So that's going to be it for Shreve as Joe Girardi goes out there, makes a call to the bullpen. And as he walks out, we'll step out and be back after these messages. Recently recalled, and he inherits Adam Eaton at second base. So it obviously was fan interference. Someone touched the baseball, and the umpires moved Adam back to second. It will go as a double instead of a triple. We will show it to you after Pindor makes his first pitch. This clearly a fair ball all the way, so says Brian Knight. And then fan touches it. And he stays at second.
One and two the count. Pick him up, Dollar. Chops that one foul. Couple home runs this inning. Alexei's 7th. Soto's 8th.
Pinder 6'3", 225 out of Cal State Long Beach. 16th round draft in 2011.
So with those 2 home runs, Alex and Elia's family, along with Christine O'Reilly, White Sox charities hooked up in loving memory of Ursula.
Boston was going for the sweep against Tampa Bay in Boston. They were leading most of the way, and Tampa Bay came back to beat them 4-3. So Tampa Bay, 2 games under 500 in their pursuit of the wild card.
Payoff pitch. Chris Young now backpedaling. He's there, makes a catch, and that'll retire the side. But 2 solo shots by Alexei and Giovanni is 12-3.
So the Yankees bat around in the 4th. Teixeira solo home run, his 3rd of the series. Abreu extends his hitting streak to 13 games. Honda, great deals are happening at the Honda Summer Clearance event. Now at your Honda dealers.
So here we go. Brendan Ryan at the plate. Takes ball 1. They have 12 runs on 11 hits. We have 3 runs on 8 hits. $38,840 in attendance today. At 34,379 yesterday. 30,359 on Friday. Ryan comes in hitting at 316. He's been a hitting machine this year. can throw some leather at you, but this year he's been throwing some lumber.
Compared to the last any number of years, this has been a renaissance year for the very good glove man who originally came up with the St. Louis Cardinals.
Foul tip, hung on 2, he gone. 1 out.
I got a call from a friend of mine last night, and he was halfway around the world in Taipei. He told me that you should get some royalties because he was in the best restaurant in the hotel he stayed at, which was one of the finest restaurants in Taipei, and the restaurant was called He Gone. So he called me to tell you to call them up and have them change the name or get some royalties.
Well, I'm getting ready to say at least a couple of free dinners, you know.
Well, assuming that you fly all of us there, I think Hans will be very happy to get you an egg roll.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
But He Gone, how about that?
Yeah, I've had a lot of hats with He Gone on sent to me. And some shirts, obviously, T-shirts. There's a ball. Chris Young. That strike evens the count at 1. Two and 1. Strike call, so 2-2. Never been to Taipei.
It's a sizable plane ride.
Yeah. Curveball, he gone. 1, 2, 3 inning, couple of strikeouts. Scott, we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. 12-3.
Ryan takes over at first base. Probably hasn't been there a whole lot, but they have no doubt that he can play it.
Teixeira had homered this 29th. He now has 74 knocked in, so he's back. As is Alex. Two big run producers for this ball club. Alex with 24 homers and 61 knocked in. One to count.
Binder, 26 years old. This is his first shot at the major leagues.
Breaking ball, and he flips it foul into the seats. That one at 95. One out.
Watch every out-of-market game live or on demand in true HD. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking widget, and more. MLB.TV Premium includes a free at-bat 15 subscription. You can watch live baseball on over 400 devices, and blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details.
Here's Melky. He's 1 for 3 with an RBI. Now he's 2 for 4. Just flares that into left field. And here is Avi. Avi's 1 for 3. Short lead. As he takes ball 1. Two and nothing to Garcia. Uh-oh. Good play by Gregorius. And we're into the 9th. Finale of this 3-game set, and it is the rubber match. They won the opener 13-6. We won last night 8-2. And they have a very commanding lead here, 12-3. So here's Murphy. He's a good-looking young catcher. He's just 24 years old. John Ryan Murphy.
He's got a chance to be a special catcher. Excellent defensively, hitting very well so far.
I like what he does, the way he looks at the plate.
Yep.
Looks like he's got nice knowledge of the strike zone. Takes pitches well. You can tell a lot about youngsters when they come into the big leagues and how they take pitches. It shows you a lot. Their body language shows you a lot about their confidence. It certainly appeared in the games we saw him play that he is not afraid to hit with a strike or two on him.
No, he had a couple of hits and a run scored along with a walk in the first game. Then was 1 for 3 with a double and a run scored in the game last night.
Breaking ball, good one now. The count 1-2. Well, if you get a young player, a rookie coming into the major leagues, and he's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes, you got something special, possibly. Checks it up. And I speak from experience. My first 3 or 4 years in the league, I was 0-2-1-2 every time I went to the plate. Got him. 1 out. 5 strikeouts now for Scott.
Good curveball. Ends the at bat.
Gregorius. 2 for 3, 2 runs scored and 2 runs knocked in. Two down.
Second baseman, number 14, Stephen Drew.
So here's Drew. If he homers, he's got the cycle. Knocked in 4, scored twice with a single, a double, and a triple. Then he hit a shot. There's only an out. Down 2. LaRoche at first base. He squared it up today. Youngster out of it. Well, now he's not a youngster. He's 32. Baseball parlance, not a youngster. Out of Valdosta, Georgia. He and JD and Tim. All brothers. Out of Florida State. JD Drew was a legend there with the Seminoles. They still talk about him to this day.
There wasn't anything he couldn't do, and he could hit the ball as far as anybody. Hit one over 500 feet in St. Louis.
Yeah. Made a lot of money playing this game.
As good as he was, he never quite got to where everybody thought he should have gotten to.
He never reached the potential that he had. As good as he did, as he was. He gone, another strikeout. Strikes out 2. He's got 6, and we're into the 9th, bottom of the 9th.
Pensman. The man they got as a free agent, Andrew Miller, he's 0-2, but despite that, his ERA 1.80 on for the 36th time. I would say in saves, 23 for 23 is awfully good. And he is a hard-throwing left-hander, and a lot of people were surprised that Baltimore did not retain his services. They gave up both Miller and Nelson Cruz. Yet those two guys to already what was a pretty good ball club, they would have been something this year.
Well, you'd have to think that if they had those two guys back, they'd probably be in first place.
You would think so. Ryan
Miller
McCann at first base. And Brendan Ryan shifts to third. Murphy behind the plate and Gordon Beckham with a bat.
Andrew Miller's one of his first starts in the big leagues right here against us. All the Tigers.
First round draft pick of the Tigers.
I'll never forget, all our guys were just raving about as that's into short center field. That's out number one. Just raving about. AJ was talking about he's got Nintendo stuff.
I just thought because he did throw really hard but well across his body in those days, they would have some arm problems. And as it turned out, they moved him to the Florida Marlins at the time. He wound up with some problems, but now reincarnated as a Pensman, he's just been great. He also doesn't throw near as much across his body as he did when he first came up as a starter.
Alexei in the left field. Alexei now 1 for 3 with that homer. That was his 7th, coming in the 7th inning. So here's Carlos. He's due. He's 0 for 3. And this ball game is over. So Yankees take the rubber match. And it was just a tough afternoon. That 5-run fourth all started with a 1-out high pop-up that nobody could get to, and we'll be back.